Welcome! Essential Vocabulary explores high-frequency English vocabulary in context, with a focus on useful collocations and pronunciation. Part 1. Belgium's wildfire crisis. August 2026 has brought timely relief to firefighters battling Belgium's largest wildfire. The fire poses an acute threat to nearby forests and communities after weeks of heat and drought have left vegetation exceptionally dry. Authorities have had to suspend some firefighting operations temporarily as conditions change rapidly. Emergency teams are struggling to catch up with the rapidly changing demands of the crisis as new areas require attention. The emergency is occupying the attention of governments across the continent. The spectrum of damage extends from burned forests and evacuated homes to disruption for farmers and local businesses. Residents remain reluctant to take official statements at face value, while the fire continues to spread beneath the peat. Many rural families live on agriculture and tourism, both of which have been affected by the prolonged period of extreme weather. Strong winds have knocked over trees, making access to some areas more difficult for emergency teams. The scale of the fires has strengthened the preference among European governments for closer cross-border cooperation. Images of burning forests and mass evacuations continue to hold the public's attention. Some tourists may go off the idea of visiting fire-affected regions this summer. 1. Preference. The scale of the fires has strengthened the preference among European governments. A preference is a greater liking for one person, thing, or course of action than for another. A university student often has a preference for courses that combine theoretical knowledge with practical experience. A consumer usually expresses a preference for brands that offer reliable products at reasonable prices. A public institution often gives preference to applicants with relevant professional experience. 2. Spectrum. The spectrum of damage extends from burned forests. A spectrum is a broad range of related things, qualities, or experiences that vary between different points or extremes. A modern university covers a broad spectrum of disciplines, from engineering to the humanities. A national newspaper spans the full spectrum of political opinion in its coverage of public affairs. A professional association represents members across the whole spectrum of the industry. 3. Acute. The fire poses an acute threat to nearby forests and communities. Acute describes a problem or situation that is extremely serious, severe, or intense. A rural hospital often faces an acute shortage of qualified medical staff. A patient with a serious injury often experiences acute pain immediately after the accident. A coastal community faces an acute threat from rising sea levels. 4. Timely. August 2026 has brought timely relief to firefighters. Timely indicates something that happens at an appropriate moment and is therefore particularly useful or effective. A school newsletter provides a timely reminder about important examination procedures. A skilled mediator often makes a timely intervention when negotiations begin to break down. A customer expects a timely response when a company receives a formal complaint. 5. Occupy. The emergency is occupying the attention of governments across the continent. To occupy involves taking up or filling a space period of time, position, or person's thoughts, often leaving less room for other things. A leading university occupies a prominent position in the national education system. A demanding project often occupies a manager's attention for several weeks. A large industrial complex occupies an extensive area on the outskirts of a city. 6. Suspend. Authorities have had to suspend some firefighting operations temporarily. To suspend means to temporarily discontinue an activity or remove somebody from a role, position, or institution. An airline sometimes suspends operations at an airport when severe weather makes flying unsafe. A regulatory authority suspends a driver's license after repeated serious offences. A head teacher sometimes suspends a pupil from school after a serious breach of discipline. 7. At face value. Residents remain reluctant to take official statements at face value. To accept, take, or treat something at face value is to accept it as true or accurate without questioning it. A teenager sometimes takes advertising claims at face value without considering the evidence behind them. A journalist rarely treats an anonymous source's allegations at face value. A careful researcher does not regard preliminary findings at face value. 8. Hold attention or interest. Images of burning forests and mass evacuations continue to hold the public's attention. Hold attention or interest involves keeping somebody interested, focused, or engaged with a person, subject, activity, or event. A skilled teacher holds a class's attention by connecting complex ideas with familiar experiences. A successful novelist holds the audience's interest through carefully developed characters and conflicts. A well-designed documentary holds attention effectively without relying on sensational images. 9. Live on. Many rural families live on agriculture and tourism. To live on something denotes depending on it as a source of food, income, or other essential resources. A pensioner often lives on a low income after leaving the workforce. A job seeker sometimes lives on benefits while looking for suitable employment. A professional athlete rarely lives on a diet of processed food during the competitive season. 10. Catch up with or on. Emergency teams are struggling to catch up with the rapidly changing demands. To catch up with somebody is to reach a person who is ahead of you or spend time talking to them after not seeing them for a while. To catch up with something involves reaching the required level after falling behind. To catch up on something refers to dealing with accumulated work, reading, information, or activities. A young professional often catches up with a friend over coffee after a busy week. A researcher regularly catches up with the latest developments in the field through specialist journals. A teacher often catches up on work at the weekend after a particularly demanding week. 11. Knock over. Strong winds have knocked over trees, making access to some areas more difficult. To knock somebody or something over means to hit or push them with enough force to make them fall from an upright position. A careless diner sometimes knocks over a glass while reaching across the table. A powerful storm occasionally knocks over a tree in an exposed area. A speeding cyclist can knock over a pedestrian on a crowded pavement. 12. Go off. Some tourists may go off the idea of visiting fire-affected regions. To go off somebody or something means to lose one's previous liking, enjoyment, or interest in them or it. A project team sometimes goes off a plan when the original assumptions prove unrealistic. A person often goes off spicy food after experiencing repeated digestive discomfort. An employee sometimes goes off a colleague after repeated disagreements over how to handle shared responsibilities. Part 2. The last-minute report. After several hours of negotiations, the committee finally decided to end the discussion, even though several important issues remained unresolved. Maya had spent most of the afternoon trying to finish the report, which contained a detailed analysis of the company's disappointing quarterly results. Once she had submitted it, she lay on the sofa, too drained to respond to the messages that had accumulated on her phone. The following morning, she laid the documents on her manager's desk and waited anxiously for his reaction. 1. Finish. End. Maya had spent most of the afternoon trying to finish the report. The committee finally decided to end the discussion. Both words refer to stopping something, but they focus on different outcomes. You use finish when you complete all parts of an activity, such as doing homework or eating a meal. In contrast, to end something simply means to bring it to a stop, particularly when talking about periods of time, states, or negative situations. For example, you finish a project, but you end an argument. 2. Lie, lay, lain. Lay, laid, laid. Maya lay on the sofa. She laid the documents on her manager's desk. The main difference between these two verbs is whether you need an object. You use lie when a person or thing rests on its own, so it never takes a direct object. On the other hand, you must lay someone or something, meaning this verb always requires an object to receive the action. A useful rule of thumb is to remember that a patient or a document can lie on the bed, but a nurse lays a patient or a document on the bed. Native speakers often casually use lay when standard grammar requires lie. This happens mainly because the past simple of lie is also lay. However, you must keep these two verbs separate in formal English and exams. Part 3. Home decor choices. When Clara finally moved into her suburban flat, she realized that transforming the bare space into a welcoming home would require thoughtful planning. Rather than buying mass-produced items on impulse, she carefully selected a sturdy wooden dining table that could double as a workspace, ensuring the room remained both functional and elegant. To complement the natural light streaming through the bay windows, she chose subtle neutral curtains and added a vibrant rug to inject a touch of warmth. Although the process demanded patience and a modest financial investment, standing back to admire how each carefully chosen piece harmonized with the surroundings gave her a deep sense of accomplishment. 1. Suburban. She moved into her suburban flat. The word suburban describes anything connected with or situated in an outer residential area of a town or city. An urban planner works tirelessly to prevent unchecked suburban expansion. A young family frequently seeks peace in a suburban neighborhood. A busy professional prefers the slower pace of suburban life. 2. Transform. Transforming the bare space into a welcoming home would require thoughtful planning. To transform something means to alter its appearance, character, or function completely. Strategic restructuring and visionary leadership can completely transform a struggling organization. Consistent self-reflection and cognitive training can gradually transform a rigid mindset. Massive urban renewal initiatives can fundamentally transform a neglected urban landscape. 3. Double as. She selected a sturdy wooden dining table that could double as a workspace. When an object, person, or room can double as something else, it performs a secondary role or serves a dual function beyond its primary purpose. A spacious community center can easily double as a venue for local gatherings. A sturdy plastic crate can surprisingly double as a container for storing tools. A senior team member can naturally double as a mentor for new staff. 4. Complement. She chose subtle neutral curtains to complement the natural light streaming through the bay windows. When one item complements another, it combines with it seamlessly in a way that highlights, balances, or enhances the best qualities of both. A carefully chosen accessory can subtly complement a classic outfit. A detailed written summary can effectively complement a clear oral presentation. Practical experience can perfectly complement academic knowledge. 5. Touch. She added a vibrant rug to inject a touch of warmth. In this context, a touch refers to a small additional detail or a subtle amount of a particular quality that improves the overall result. A skilled interior designer often adds a touch of luxury to a modern interior. A thoughtful host includes a touch of humor in a speech. A specialist chef finishes a dish with a touch of spice. 6. Accomplishment. Standing back to admire how each carefully chosen piece harmonized with the surroundings gave her a deep sense of accomplishment. An accomplishment is an impressive success or rewarding outcome that stems from sustained effort, dedication, or skill. Completing a challenging marathon is widely considered a remarkable physical accomplishment. A team leader takes pride in a major collective accomplishment. Mastering a foreign language brings an enduring feeling of personal accomplishment. Part 4. Pronunciation challenges. 1. Restaurant, 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 restaurant. Restaurateur, 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 restaurateur. Tired travelers sought a quiet restaurant with Trevor after their long trip. The famous restaurateur restored a classic residence near the harbour. A restaurant is a commercial establishment where people sit down to pay for and eat meals prepared on the premises. A restaurateur is the person who owns or manages such an establishment. 2. Develop, 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 develop. Development, 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 development. Engineers and Daniel aim to develop a clever device to deliver vital data. Diane declared it a major development when the system finally went online. To develop something means to invent, design, or refine it over time. Development refers to the ongoing process of growing, improving, and becoming more advanced. A development means a specific new event or situation that changes a story or plan. 3. Although, 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 although. Though, though, though. Although Arthur thought deeply, he kept his thoughts private. Theo preferred to walk outdoors alone, though the thick mist remained. Although is used to show a surprise or contrast between two ideas, and you can put it at the start or in the middle of a sentence. Though can be used in the same way here, although it also has other uses that although does not. 4. Blood, 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 blood. Bloody, 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 bloody. Blood was dripping from his badly bruised arm. A bloody battle broke out after the bridge was blocked. Blood refers to the red bodily fluid that carries oxygen and other substances around the body. Bloody means covered in blood when describing a wound or object, while a bloody battle or conflict involves severe violence and injury.